understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender.
Hulk. Smash.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Here's Johnny.
21 gigawatts!
Hey, motherfucker.
You never go ass to mouth.
Now what is so damn funny?
And here we go.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight.
The Force will be with you. Always.
But the truth! You can't handle the truth! Showtime, everybody! Showtime!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of the For Real Movie Club podcast, coming to you from fanboysanonymous.com. I am your host for this edition, Tony Mango. Chris, the Dace Man Dace, has no voice, so unfortunately we're missing out on him for this month's edition, but Dace will be back for the next bunch, as usual, and he sends his warm regards. Although I am joined with two of my fellow teammates for the podcast. We've got Caroline Oliveira.
Hello.
And Eddie Siqueira.
Ow.
So what we are going to do for this month is the typical January side of things, thriller movies.
Yay!
Oh, that makes sense. Totally.
Yeah. I don't quite get the connection behind it, but you suggested it, Caroline, and it works. Why not? Better than doing New Year's movies, right?
Oh my god, yes. That's like depressing.
Yeah, we would do New Year's Eve, and I would get all mad at watching that movie for personal reasons, and then that would be it. And I wouldn't want to do the other ones. So, thrillers make sense. You start off the new year, you've got a whole bunch of resolutions, and then you kill them after 2 weeks because then you realize you don't really want to go through with all that effort of exercising and stuff. So
Well, the problem, Anthony, is that people try to do everything at once, and you really have to kind of take it one step at a time. For example, if you want to quit smoking, that's the only one you should do. You shouldn't try to quit smoking and lose weight and take up a particular hobby because that's just going to eat you up.
very much
That's
so.
what I heard in some. That's what I heard in some talk show. I don't know. I'm just repeating it. I don't believe in resolutions at all.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, no, me neither.
So the 4 movies that we're going to be doing for this edition, and we're going to be breaking them up into different videos on YouTube if you're watching it there. If you're listening to this on iTunes and Stitcher, then hey, all the work's done for you, and they're all going to be in one big podcast, and you don't have to do anything. So awesome. Bad news for future Tony after editing it, but it's good news for you guys. We are going to be doing Misery from 1990 in part 1. Part 2, we're going to do Silence of the Lambs, 1991. 2000's Memento is going to be in part 3. And finally, we're going to end off with the 2003 version of Oldboy.
The best version.
I would assume so. We'll get more into that a little bit later on in part 4. But we are in part 1 right now, which means that we are going to talk about Misery. So, give us a little bit of breakdown of Misery, the movie, Caroline.
All right, well, like Tony said, Misery was released in 1990, and it's based on a Stephen King novel. And this novel is awesome. If you guys haven't read it, you should. Actually, one of the characters in the novel, in the movie, is one of Stephen's favorite characters ever. So that says a lot. With that said, it's not... like, if you've seen The Shining, if you think, like, that's all Stephen King is about, this is... I guess there's some similarities to The Shining, but Misery is mainly about this novelist who is really famous for creating this book series. There's, like, really romantic and just very dramatic, the kind of stuff that you see, like, in, the pharmacies, and they have, like, Fabio on the cover, like, kind of like that. And this novelist's name is Paul Sheldon, and he actually goes to this little town because he goes there every time he wants to write a book, and he's tired of writing those stupid novels, and he wants to write something a little deeper. But he ended up suffering a car accident during a snowstorm, and he's rescued by Annie Wilkes, who believes she's his number one fan. She's obsessed with the dramatic novels. And everything seems fine, but their relationship starts getting very complicated once she reads the final book and realizes that is the last book he's ever going to write because he kills his the main character, the character that she loves, and she kind of goes psycho. She's like not a very like, she's not really stable to start off with, and that just like drives her to the edge, and it becomes a quest for Paul Sheldon to survive while he has broken legs and he's in this very isolated cabin with Annie. So it's an awesome, 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 awesome book, awesome movie. Kathy Bates is in it. She's amazing. She was so good in the role that Stephen King actually wrote characters for her in other books of his and other film adaptations. And James Caan is the main writer. So it's awesome. I love that movie so I think it's so romantic. Oh my god.
I could hear your smile. You think it's romantic?
I do, because it's about devotion and you loving a writer so much that you would feel better to just make sure he never leaves your home, no matter what it takes, and just have him forever. Like, if I saw Stephen King, like, I would totally do that. On Neil Gaiman, yes, like, I would trap them and I would, like, do everything Annie does to them to make sure they never leave.
Why do I feel like this podcast is going to be used in court someday? Evidence for against you.
Oh, what's new?
Well, you mentioned that the Annie Wilkes character was so well received. I mean, that ended up winning Kathy Bates the Academy Award for Best Actress in 1990. Well deserved too, because she was like
it. She was the first woman to win an Oscar for Best Actress in a horror thriller movie. So that's like pretty badass. Yeah, she's amazing in that movie. Like, she's completely convincing. And she wasn't, I mean, she's an amazing actress as it is, but I don't think she was well established as she is right now. But she literally kills it with a hammer in that movie.
Well, she only kills one thing with a shotgun, right? Oh, well, we don't know what she did with the babies and stuff.
True. And actually, that bit, apparently it's like based on the true event of this crazy nurse that would kill babies because she wanted to
so romantic.
Their souls. Yeah, it's like, oh, she just didn't want to be alone. And she has a pet pig in the movie. Like, how cool is that? Like, if you don't want to, like, watch a thriller, just watch it for the pet pig. She's really cute.
So, first impressions of the movie, obviously Caroline loves it. What about you, Eddie?
This movie depressed me so bad and got me so pissed off.
It put you in a state of misery?
My girlfriend, huh?
Just a lame
I swear to God. My girlfriend texted me while I was watching it. And I answered back in a rude kind of fashion. And, I mean, that's how pissed off I got.
But why?
It's so frustrating. It's claustrophobic. It's lonely. It makes you feel. Nothing made me feel more alone than watching that movie. I mean, because you have the two constant characters all the time, and the only outside world is this little village, not even a town.
Yeah.
And New York City is so far away. It's like, oh God, I crave that big city and all the people and the police that might actually work. I'm not even sure, and stuff like that. You know, it's like, and here you're like in the woods with the. I don't normally want to cause anyone harm or anything, but you can't help it, you know.
Right.
You want pain to be inflicted on her.
Oh, that is mean.
Doesn't that speak to how good the movie is, though?
Yeah,
if it makes you feel like that?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yes. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, if a movie makes you feel, it's done its job, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I still hate it. It's a great. I'm sure, you know. I think the production was all right. Some things you can tell that are kind of outdated. I mean, we're talking about 1990, and you're still like you're on the last generation of movies before CG started to take over. And I think it brought up what I loved about it was like it brought simplicity back. It reminded me of that simple time where it was all about dialogue and performance, and it was not about like the constant camera angles and the constant, you know, We'll get this cool sun flare shot of the. No, none of that. It's very raw. It's theatric.
Yeah.
So I like that about it a lot. No cell phones, no gadgets, no just a writer and his typewriter.
Mhm.
Those old cars and the old man. There was that part where Kathy Bates was watching TV. It's like everybody on TV has a mullet. It's like, and I'm like, God, that depressed me also. That depressed me a lot. I'm
Mullets are
serious,
kind
man.
of
Like,
depressing.
yeah. So, but aside from that, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell the legs were. You got. I mean, I give it a. I kind of look the other way because it's 1990. The legs look kind of fake when he first falls out of the bed.
So on the casting side of things, let's start with you, Caroline. Obviously, Kathy Bates. I mean, we already threw it out there that she won the Academy Award and everything. I don't think anybody has anything bad they can say about her in it. What do you think about James Caan playing Paul Sheldon? Does it give you the idea that he actually could be a critically acclaimed writer or somebody in his position, or is he? I mean, one of the notes that I had written down when I was watching this is a pretty easy acting job for James Caan in most scenes because he's just kind of laying there and.
Do you really think so? I feel like when an actor doesn't have their bodies to distract you from like the raw emotions, I think that's harder. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Like I mean, I watch a movie and I'm like, okay, that person convinced me. That person, like, I'm not an actor. Obviously, I have no idea about acting, but I liked him in that movie. I felt that he was just. I could totally buy that he was this guy who ended up getting really famous for something that he's not really proud of, and he's trying to be like that deep, artsy writer now, and he's just stuck in there, and he's kind of presumptuous, but at the same time, in a very soft way. I liked him in that movie. I mean, the role was actually first offered to Jack Nicholson. And he turned down the role because he's like, well, I already did The Shining. I don't want to like get into another Stephen King movie right now.
Plus, he would definitely be crazier. Like,
right, like I feel like like just his face. Like I don't know. Like I like him a lot, but I don't think he would have done a good job like James did. I just love that movie. Like I am very biased when it comes to this movie.
I'm having flashbacks to that scene in, I think it was About Schmidt, where he's in with the hot tub with Kathy Bates. Jack Nicholson. It wouldn't have been the same movie, Misery, with Jack Nicholson in there.
Oh.
What do you think about the casting, Eddie?
It didn't. I got nothing negative out of it. So that means it's definitely done its job. Kathy Bates, I thought, when her character first entered the movie, I thought, oh yeah, no big deal. Like I knew this was the movie that made her career or so, but I didn't understand why until I saw her rage.
Yeah.
Like her anger was like, oh my God, it's like my mom is angry at me or something. It's like, wow, that was real. That wasn't, I don't know, it felt legitimate.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know why? Because Kathy Bates is not your average Hollywood mannequin, your Hollywood doll.
Oh, no.
She's not the cheerleader that's always nice and yelling, and then when she has to let that rage fly, it's like, like, go to hell, nope.
Mr. Man.
She's pissed off.
Mr.
She
Man.
has some real rage, it's like, yeah, like she's a real deal, right? She's a real.
She really is.
Real
Hell,
McCoy,
just
to use an 1890s term.
Just waking up and seeing her face would be horrifying enough.
Yeah,
That's
but
me.
And then you see her in their happy, her happy moments where he's like, "Yep, Misery is back, and she's gonna marry she's royalty," and she's like, oh, I knew it. Yes, everything's so beautiful. Like, I get it now.
Yeah. And you know, it was
Uh,
funny that you mentioned that she's like, nah, you're a Hollywood cheerleader. I was just reading something that they wanted to turn Misery into a Broadway play, and they were tapping Julia Roberts to play Annie, and Stephen King was like, okay, Annie needs to be someone that can take down a guy,
Yeah.
not a Hollywood pixie. Like that was like, if that happened, can you guys imagine that? Really, like Pretty Women trying to be Annie, like that would have been so bad.
If I woke up in bed
So
after getting
bad.
into an accident and I saw Julia Roberts from 1990 there, I'd be like, all right, well, I guess I died.
Okay,
And
that's
I'm in
fine.
heaven now. I'd be like, oh, are you joining me in this awesome bed scenario? I wake up and I see Kathy Bates and I'm like in hell instead.
No, aww.
no, for real, totally.
Well, for her character,
But,
not just her appearance and stuff like that, but that type of person. I mean, she nails it. Like, she is the quintessential kind of not like a homebody kind of person or whatever, but like the depressing person that you see picking up these kind of books at Target, like
Yeah.
where they watch Oprah all day and they love Ellen because Ellen is so quirky, like that kind of a. It's it's horrible to like be around those kind of people. So I'd be shouting at the top of my lungs, afraid if I was James Caan in this movie. Before she even started acting crazy and started saying things like she was going to put on the Liberace records or like before she brings that pig into the scene, like I would have been terrified immediately just hearing her
pig
talking about
freaked me
music.
out, man. I'm like, dude, that pig is gonna bring an infection.
Oh, pigs are really clean.
I don't care much.
So I just
Clean.
want to
They're
say to
supposed cleanliness.
everybody out there that wants to bully Tony now and tell him to fuck off and die, you just
Join the
describe
club.
all that he just said. No, just like type down like you're gonna wake up to Kathy Bates reading books from Target, watching Ellen and Oprah the whole day, and you're gonna be stuck there. You're not gonna be able to move.
I'm gonna have nightmares about this now later. The scarier thought than half the things that happen in these movies. So another topic that we can talk about. We talk about this in every movie that we talk about on here. Sometimes it's something that's a huge part of it. Sometimes it isn't. And this one, I would say it's probably one on the lesser side of things. But the music of the film, does that stand out to you guys positively or negatively? Anybody want to tag in here and talk about whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm biased, so just bear with me. But I love it. Like, I just feel like it's the right amount of. Okay, the music, if I just hear the music from that movie, it just brings that idea of solitude. And that to me is just like a lot of horror movies use solitude. That's scary. Of you just being stuck in a place where you can't reach for help, and in this case, you're with somebody who not only is in control because you can't really move, but holds the key to your freedom, and it's not right in the head. So it's not like super frightening like you would see on a Friday the 13th movie, that little like that's like freaky, but it's still really beautifully made, and it's so pretty, and it's so eerie. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's eerie.
Eddie, you're our resident musician here. What did you think about the music?
Yeah, it totally did its job. You're looking at a period where stuff like happened a lot. Throughout the 70s, 80s, and you're still not quite in a period where Hans Zimmer kind of stuff started happening in every single movie now. So I mean, sometimes it lacks in production, and sometimes it's a little underplayed, and it could be a little more vibrant. I don't recall any particularly interesting compositions. It's there. I think the silence is a lot more important. The silence adds to that solitude, and it adds to the suspense of oh my God, what's her name? Catherine?
Kathy.
Kathy Bates?
Kathy. No, yeah, well, Kathy Bates. What's her character?
Oh,
Oh,
Annie?
Annie.
Annie. Is Annie gonna lose it? Is she gonna burst now? You're waiting for her to say something, and it's like
Yeah.
nothing, and it's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? It's like, and then when she explodes, yeah, the first time she explodes, yeah, there's no music, and then when she's happy, it's just, oh, yeah. It does its job. It's just I don't, I won't bring in particular attention to it.
So opening up to this just general discussion, some of your favorite scenes, least favorite scenes, different things you thought were funny or scary or anything else that stands out to you kind of guys. One note that I had written down that I thought was really just an odd bit of funniness in it was when she says, "What's that ceiling the Dago painted?" I'm like, Jesus God.
I didn't get that. What the hell is that? Who's Dago?
She's talking about the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah, but who the hell's
Yeah.
that? Yeah, who's Dago?
Yeah. I thought that was funny. I thought that, unfortunately though, and I don't know if I would say that I like it breaking up different parts of the movie or if it takes me out of it, but I sort of thought that the cop and his wife were a little bit too silly.
You really thought so? I thought they were so sweet.
That's such a Stephen King thing to do. It's like there's always like some sort of like underlying.
It's like a
little
relief to
backstory.
Yeah, like it works as some levity to kind of lighten up the tension a little bit, but at the same time, a lot of the times I feel like I'm really getting into the psychological torment of the whole thing, and then it's like, oh, let's laugh at this guy, and I'm like, wow,
Right.
crap, like maybe better editing or something like that would have made it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel that the one thing I do have to say about them is that even like to me it broke some of that idea of like, oh, small town cops are silly, and like not silly because he's silly, but are not that experienced. He's never gonna catch on to something that is happening, and he's like the only authority figure in the movie that really feels like something's off, and he has that idea of actually going and reading the novels, kind of like he's a little like FBI agent, and I thought that was cool because it broke that idea of like, oh, he's just gonna be a dumbass that is just gonna be there for laughs or to calm like everybody's hearts a little bit every now and then. But I liked it. I actually felt, spoiler alert, I felt bad when he died. I was like, no.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed that he died because I was just like, well, that sucks. Like, I would have rather have him stumble upon it after Paul Sheldon saves the day for himself, and then he just kind of shows up and goes like, oh shit, all this happened. Like,
yeah.
I got disappointed when he got shot because now his wife's gonna be all alone and everything.
She's gonna
like
be
that's
all
depressing.
alone. Yeah. Aww.
That death
serves her right for being so manipulating.
I thought that death and actually Annie's death, I would have tweaked some things. I liked it better when she fell on top of the typewriter. I don't think that the pig statue was a great way to end it.
But didn't you think it was really cool that she died the way she really wanted to die, which was like in his arms?
Yeah, on top of him. That was good.
Yeah.
I like that. What are some other things you guys liked or didn't like or whatever about the movie?
Well, I am a sucker for torture scenes, and that one scene where she decides, you know what? Oh, you've been walking in my house. I'm sorry, I have to do this, and she breaks his feet. Oh, like that is like fantasy for me. It's so it's just so nice. Like she just puts a brick there, and then she like knocks his feet in. Where it's just it's awesome. Like that was my favorite scene.
What about you, Eddie? What do you think about the hobbling scene? Brutal, isn't it?
I guess. It didn't. I mean, it's hard to understand the point of view of someone who would actually do that. I mean, it's fun to talk about. Oh, I love that stuff, but until you actually do it, it's all speculation and it's all that. But like, for some reason, it felt too real in that movie. Like, I'm not saying that it
Yeah.
looked real or anything, but because of the realism that Kathy Bates and even James Caan, I thought he was great in his role. Um, I think the synergy between both of them was something was working, and then she goes ahead and does that to him. So it's bad enough that she's giving him these pills and doing whatever else. It's just she goes ahead and just breaks his ankle, and that's where you see the malice really, really at work. That's like the apogee of the worst that could happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just thought, I don't know, the best scene, honestly, when he's back in New York. Dude, I swear to God, it's a relief. I mean, I'm all against, I hate like like evil corporations and globalization and pesticides and war. But fuck it, man. Manhattan, let's go to a 5-star restaurant. Let's go to Dorsia, that kind of stuff.
You can get a
I
reservation.
don't. What?
If you can get a reservation.
Yeah. If you manage to get a reservation at Dorsia, yeah. Sure.
We definitely are doing American Psycho at some point for Real Movie Club.
That is my
Definitely.
favorite.
Oh my God,
It's one of my favorite
please.
movies ever.
It's
one of my favorite movies
amazing.
ever.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that eventual episode. I guarantee we'll all be on that one.
I even wrote a review on the book, right? Yeah, I wrote a review on the book and the movie, comparing the movie. The book is funny too. Anyways, but yeah, to me, Misery, like honestly, him back in civilization is a relief, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I just didn't like claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Well, final thoughts and a rating 0 to 10. What would you say, Caroline?
I would give it a 9.5, just because I feel like 10 is like too much, like too presumptuous on my part. But I really love it, and I feel that movie it's so simple in ways. Like Eddie said, it's just only 2 characters pretty much, and it's a lot of dialogue and all that tension building up between them. We don't have like crazy car chases and people hanging from buildings, but it still works. And it works because it just touches on those like primeval fears we have, being isolated, being out of control, and it's just really, really well done. And it has a pet pig, so and people breaking bones. It's awesome. I love it.
Eddie, what are your final thoughts on a 0 to 10 rating?
You can't deny it is a good movie. I heard about it, every once in a while, the Kathy Bates role and all that. And I was like, okay, fine, let's watch this. Let's get it out of the way. And yeah, I wasn't disappointed. It's just not my kind of movie at all. Just not my kind of movie. I'll give it a 6 because it deserves some recognition, definitely. And I think Stephen King, anything that's taken from a Stephen King novel usually turns out pretty good. No matter how weird or strange or whatever. For some reason, his movies out of Stephen King novels there's a certain suspense to it. There's a certain sickness to it, a certain macabre kind of gist. I can't really put my finger on, but it's a good movie. In the end, I just want to say it's a good movie. I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't easily recommend it though. The subject matter didn't appeal to me at all.
I'm going to have to probably go a 7 out of 10 for me. This is one of those movies that I had wanted to see for a long time, but I kind of agree with you that you have to be in the mood to watch it. I find, usually I'm not a big fan of horror movies in general, and thrillers, when they're more on the crime side of things, I find them a lot easier to digest than the horror thrillers. So I very rarely am in the mood to eat. Yeah, to eat a movie like Misery. That VHS tape just doesn't settle well in my stomach. But very rarely do I feel like sitting down and watching a movie like this, and I don't think that I probably would end up suggesting it to most people, but anybody that I do know that does like this type of movie, guaranteed I'd be tossing the name out to them. And anytime somebody says that they want to watch a movie sort of like this, I'm sure I'm going to recommend it to them. Good watch, hard to watch, but a good one nonetheless, I would say. I think that'll round us out for Misery, so if you're watching this on YouTube, as I mentioned before, click on that next video for part 2, and if you are listening on iTunes and Stitcher, then all you gotta do is sit back and wait, and we will continue on with Silence of the Lambs.